Welcome to U.S. Defense Line Channel. Russian forces launched airstrikes on the northern front. Air defense systems in the regions were activated. Russian authorities, fearing the bombardment of the Ukrainian troops, left the critical area. Explosions were reported from many fronts. Russian army is beginning to withdraw from the left bank of the critical river 4 miles. Ukrainian planes carried out more than 20 attacks on important points. Russia's military equipment is being used against Russian troops. Forced to retreat after failures on the fronts since the beginning of the war, Russian troops are leaving behind a lot of military equipment and ammunition. This allows Ukrainian troops to seize these equipments and reduce the resources available to Russian troops. According to breaking news, Ukrainian and Russian troops are engaged in artillery duels. In these mutual attacks, the Ukrainian troops were the successful party. Moreover, Ukrainian units carried out these artillery attacks with a 152mm Mstabby howitzer, which had been captured from Russian soldiers before. With the captured Russian military equipment, the targets of the Russian soldiers were hit. With this move of the Ukrainian units, 10 accurate shots were fired at the positions and equipment of the Russian soldiers. In addition, a Russian armored fighting vehicle and 2 tanks were destroyed. As we have seen from these moves, Ukrainian troops can use such military equipment much more successfully. In these days when the violence of the war is increasing, Russian forces cannot achieve success on the fronts. In fact, on the contrary, Russian soldiers are getting more and more difficult and cornered every day. This caused the troops to retreat. It has been reported that as a result of Russia's major defeats in the south, Russian officials in the region began to flee. Russian authorities left the Novokakhovka region on the left bank of the Dnipro River. Especially in recent days, hundreds of areas have been recaptured thanks to the successful advance of the Ukrainian forces on this front in the south. It was stated that these officials had left the region due to the explosions in the regions and the shelling of the Ukrainian troops. It is reported that Russian troops are trying to advance 15 to 20 kilometers inland from the borders they have built on the left bank of the Dnipro River. Reason for this effort is to prevent the attacks of the Ukrainian troops. Ukrainian armed forces, on the other hand, take control of the logistical and routes of the Russian forces at the front. This situation makes it more difficult to advance the military equipment and ammunition of the Russian troops stationed in the region. Again, many Russian military equipment will be confiscated. This, in turn, causes a decrease in Russia's offensive power. Russia launched an attack on Kiev and its surroundings. Russian forces attacked Kiev with missiles. Ukrainian air defense shot down 4 missiles, but 2 missiles hit the area. Kyrylo Tymoshenko, deputy head of the Presidential Office of Ukraine, reported the details from the region. While the sounds of explosions echoed after the attacks, air defense systems were activated. After the major defeat of the Russian forces in the key area on the southern front, Moscow again launched airstrikes on the northern front. After the explosion sounds, anti-aircraft defense systems were activated. Mass missile launch attack on 15 regions of Ukraine over the territory of Russia was reported. Many of these attacks were prevented by the air defense systems that were actively deployed in the country. These attacks targeting the heart of the country, Kiev and Chernihiv regions, will also affect Russia. As it is known, Russia often failed to achieve success with its attacks on such infrastructures and was exposed to sanctions from countries. In fact, Russia caused the increase and acceleration of the aid to be sent to Ukraine due to such attacks. This situation made it much more difficult for him to achieve any success in the attacks he continued to carry out. Especially thanks to the various air defense systems coming from many countries such as Germany, Spain, and the United States, the probability of Russia's success in carrying out airstrikes will gradually become zero. Attack power of Moscow, whose success is gradually zero, begins to weaken and may have to retreat in panic. If Russia, which is getting weaker day by day, cannot provide its soldiers with sufficient equipment, the operations will not lead to a conclusion. General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces continues to announce the losses of Russia in the territory of Ukraine, which are realized as a result of successful moves with each passing day. This time, Ukraine destroyed 13 tanks, 2 air defense systems, 25 armored combat vehicles, 11 artillery systems, and 2 unmanned aerial vehicles of the Russian forces. Every day parts of Russian military equipment are found in the regions. In addition, more than 82,000 soldiers have been neutralized since the beginning of this war that Russia started in Ukraine. In addition, close to 2,880 tanks of Russian troops, close to 5,790 armored combat vehicles, and more than 1,511 operational tactical-level unmanned aerial vehicles were destroyed. It also carried out 21 airstrikes on critical positions of the Russian forces with Ukrainian planes. 18 of these attacks were carried out at the location of the Russian forces, their weapons and military equipment, and 3 on the anti-aircraft missile system. Ukrainian defense forces also shot down 2 Russian Orlan drones. Ukraine's rocket and artillery units, on the other hand, neutralized 2 ammunition depots, 1 anti-aircraft missile system, 3 Russian command centers, and 19 Russian military equipment by hitting the critical point. From such attacks, it is seen that Ukraine has made quite a strategic advance. In addition, the Ukrainian armed forces destroyed the Tor M2 anti-aircraft missile systems, 3 armored vehicles, and a Russian S-300 missile system on the southern front. Considering that Russia has carried out quite a few missile attacks since the beginning of the war, we can understand that each of these destroyed systems is of critical importance. Moreover, it is stated that Moscow has few missiles left. If this number of missiles is also depleted, Russia may be almost completely helpless. If the helpless Russian soldiers do not have ammunition and military equipment left, it will be easier for major defeats to become inevitable. Russian troops now try their last chance and continue their attack. This time, Russian troops launched 4 missiles, 23 airstrikes, and more than 70 multiple launch rocket system attacks. Although Russia increases the reactions against it, especially by targeting critical infrastructures with these attacks, it does not stop such striking attacks. However, there has been a decrease in these attacks in recent days. Reason for this situation may be that the available resources are starting to decrease and the remaining ammunition is kept waiting to be used in larger attacks. Even if he tries different methods, he will not be successful. Because, as it is known, various supports for Ukraine are increasing. Thanks to the increasing support, the lands and skies of Ukraine are becoming more and more protected. This will further reduce Russia's motivation and success rate in carrying out an attack. Now, with every step taken by the countries, the war will become clearer. In these days when the violence of the war and the tension between the countries have increased considerably, the aid and sanctions of the countries now have a more important role. If aid to Ukraine increases, Russia will begin to be unable to carry out more attacks. Moreover, the motivation and success of the Ukrainian troops will increase, and they will do everything to prevent Russian soldiers and equipment from being placed on Ukrainian soil. If Russia encounters more failures, it may become unable to escape major problems and serious defeats. Now each move is more important than the previous one. For this, every step taken and every decision made regarding the war must be planned in line with strategic goals. Otherwise, a mistake by one side will cause the other side to have an advantage in the war. In the coming days, the course of the war will become more evident according to the progress of the countries. It may become necessary at any moment for Russia to leave Ukrainian territory completely. Now the war is going to a completely different dimension, and this does not allow countries to make mistakes in the war. In addition, if Russia continues its unsuccessful attacks on infrastructures, the war will continue worse for itself. Because the attacks on the infrastructures in critical regions that Russia has started again may cause the aid to Ukraine to increase and accelerate. This causes Russia to gradually reduce its ammunition due to its futile attacks, while Ukraine increases. Therefore, while making progress, next steps and possible possibilities should be considered. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.